So the filters are right here. We've changed the way the interface now. It's really simple. So right now you have two things. You have something we call gyro smoothing, and it's a special type of filter. It's not like the GA we had before. It's a filter. It's an actual filter. And then we have the filter type, which is another filter. So one of these, they both do something. I mean, one's a little more predictive. One takes in your input, and the other one is more of a frequency type filter to get out the motor noise. I know the motor noise is like above 200 hertz, and so we want to get that out. Maybe some of the prop noise, some of the other things. That's the frequency filter, and then the gyro smoothing is another filter that also helps get out the noise, but it also does it in such a way where we can control the feel. One of the reasons that we never want to go to fully automatic filtering, and John will back this up. I mean, we did some automatic filtering quite a while ago, and how did you feel about it when we had the automatic filtering at that time?
I never liked it. I ended up going to manual every time.
I mean, the problem was, I mean, I'll let you say this, but basically every time you flew the quad, and even while you flew the quad, the feel kind of changed, right?
Yeah, and wasn't it a kind of an initialization? Like as soon as you armed it, it kind of took data and then used that to base the entire flight on.
Right, and so
yeah, and that's not enough anyway.
Yeah, well, I think the biggest problem was you would say the quad flew great one time, and the next time you didn't like the feeling. Like
yeah, it wasn't consistent. Yeah.
Right, and so by making it fully automatic like that, where we make the decisions for you, I mean, filters directly change the feel of your quad. I mean, that's the bottom line. It's what changes how responsive it is, how smooth it is. Sometimes, you know, you might like your quad more noisy, and because it flies better, it's more responsive. Some people want, you know, like the Kiss is the complete opposite end of the spectrum. It's super over-filtered, and that's why it has more of that latent feel and that kind of stuff. So
yeah, I was about to say that too, is that there's no, I don't really want to use the word magic filter, but I think it's all personal preference, just like PIDs. Some people are going to like something way more responsive, and some people are going to like it more latent and smooth. So not saying that you can't have a responsive and smooth quad, but you know what I mean? Like,
right, yeah, I mean, because when it comes down to it, some of that smoothness has to be you and the sticks, and we're all human.
At a point where the filters are something that's a personal preference, you know what I mean? I don't think there's a real perfect flying quad. Like I've flown, you know, Mr. Steele's quad, and I don't think it flies good. He flies mine, doesn't think it flies good. It's a personal preference thing.
How's my mic?
Actually, I don't know if we did that. We did that at one point, and I remember thinking, man, how does he do all that weird stuff? Because it felt kind of weird to me. But I think everyone has their own perception of what a good flying quad is.
So these are the new filters. So they're really simple. So the first one is a low pass cutoff frequency, which the filter uses. Most likely, no one needs to touch this. It does some magic. It's not just a low pass filter, but this is one of the stages of the filter. You probably don't need to change this, but you can actually dial this down a little if you find these filters don't filter enough. Most likely where it's set is pretty good. You can try lowering it, make it 80, 70, 60 and see if you like the feel better. But that's what that does. Most people will never need to touch that. Then you can have your filter type here, which is either OG filter, which is the old filter. If you guys want that, you're going to have to use the command line to do the settings for it. We find it doesn't fly as well. That's the one that they have now in the butter flight and the beta flight. To be honest, these filters seem to fly a lot better. I know, John, you've tried them, right? Those other filters. Do you like the feel of this one better, or?
Yeah, the single filter is by far the best, I think.
So if you still like the old filter's there. You can still use it. But
why don't you tell everyone what OG stands for, Preston?
They could probably figure it out.
Oh man.
Okay, so the next one is the experimental filter. I feel like if I put a button in there that says "Do not press," people would press it. The experimental filter probably is not going to fly good for you because it's not fully dialed in and tuned. It's the predictive one, and I think we need a predictive model of the quad. So if your quad fits our predictive model, it's going to feel okay, but it needs some work. Some people really love it. To be honest, on most of our quads, it doesn't fly that great. But I put it in there just so you can see what's coming. The double filter is like a super filtered filter. It does a sharp cutoff. I think we need to have another talk about filters and how they work, and maybe bring in some of the Betaflight guys, because they've been researching the crap out of that stuff. But essentially what the double filter does is it filters more. It's like running something through 2 filters is what that does. It doesn't actually increment the amount of filters, but it changes the way it filters somewhat, and it gives more filtering. So the single frequency filter is the one that John likes the best. And most people seem to like this one. This is usually the way to go. So in that's most likely what you're going to want to use. Just pick that one. You can play with the other ones and see, but that's the one you want to use. So then the gyro smoothing is what lets you pick your feel. So if you're racing, probably single frequency filter and low is going to be your best bet. Raising this up actually can help get rid of noise too if you have a really noisy quad. So you can try, low, medium, high, and very high. It's as simple as that. Very high is going to give you more of that dreamy feel, and low is going to give you more of that super responsive feel. We'll probably play with these a little bit more over time and make it better. But right now, I just want everyone to try it, give us your feedback, and let us know, what to change. To be honest, this is the best flying quad that I felt to date. I think, my son thinks the same thing, and everyone that's trying this has been saying the same thing. I think this takes our filters to the next level. And I think we're getting very close to that version 1 release. If everything's going well in this is mostly your version 1, because I finally feel like we can, filter a bad quad, a good quad, noisy, unnoisy, give people the KISS feel, give people the super responsive feel, give you a feel in between. And that's what this is aimed at.